Banker-customer relationship. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to familiarize with the banker-customer relationship, describe each type of relationship that the bank shares with its customer, explain the obligation and rights of banker about secrecy of customer account information, and explain the bank's obligation in furnishing opinion report about a customer. Who is the customer for the bank? Anyone conducting banking transactions like depositing money, taking loan, investing, etc. are the customers of the bank. A customer can be an individual, a group, a company, a trust, an institution, a government organization, or it can be another bank. Banker-customer relationship begins from the point where bank starts rendering its services to its customer. The relationship varies depending on the services offered by the banks. These relations are always mentioned from the point of bank, which means the first mentioned party is always the bank. Debtor-creditor relationship. This relationship is formed when a customer deposits money by opening an account with the bank. So in this case, bank becomes borrower or debtor and customer becomes lender or creditor. Creditor-debtor relationship. This relationship is formed when the bank lends money to a customer. So in this case, bank becomes lender or creditor and customer becomes borrower or debtor. Bailee-bailer relationship. This relationship is formed when a customer deposits his or her valuable items such as bonds, securities, or other documents in the bank for safe custody. So in this case, bank becomes bailee and customer becomes bailer. Agent-principal relationship. This relationship is formed when a customer utilizes the special services like electricity bill payment, tax payment, credit card bill payment, insurance premium payment, etc. So in this case, bank becomes agent who collects the payment from customer and pays to the service provider, and customer becomes principal. Lessor-lessee relationship. This relationship is formed when a customer hires safe deposit locker from the bank. So in this case, bank becomes lessor and customer becomes lessee. Trustee Beneficiary. This relationship is formed when a customer creates a trust and appoints the bank as a trustee. So in this case, bank is a trustee and customer is a beneficiary. Secrecy of account and personal information is the key concern of any customer opening an account with the bank. The bank should assure its customers that their account information will be kept secret and will not be disclosed even after closing their accounts. In case the bank discloses the information unwarrantedly, it will be liable to compensate the customer. However, there are some instances in which the banker is entitled or required to disclose the customer's account details. These instances are under law, under express or implied consent of the customer, common courtesy among the bankers, disclosure in bank's interest, and disclosure in public or national interest. Under express or implied consent of the customer. When an account is opened, there is an implied contract with the customer that his or her account information will not be disclosed. However, if a customer permits the bank, his or her account information can be disclosed. Like, customer may permit giving information to his or her prospective guarantor or business alliances. It is necessary for the bank to take customers' expressed or implied consent before disclosing the information. Disclosure in bank's interest. The bank can disclose information when it is essential to protect its own interest legally. This situation usually arises in case of disputes between the bank and its customer. In such cases, the bank needs to disclose the information to the guarantor or solicitor to initiate the legal proceedings in the court of law. Common courtesy among the bankers. As per the practices or usages in the banking business, it is customary to share information about customers among the bankers in case other banks make inquiries. This usually happens in the matters such as proposed surety or acceptors of bills of exchange, etc. However, an implied consent of customer is presumed before disclosing the information to other banks. Such information is kept confidential at both the ends. Under law, when it is statutorily required, like when asked by Income Tax Department or any such departments, bank is liable to disclose the customer's account information under Income Tax Act 1961, Section 131 and Section 136C, Companies Act 1956, Section 235 and Section 237, Bankers Book Evidence Act 1981, Section 4, Reserve Bank of India Act 1937, Section 26, Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, Section 11, and Gift Tax Act 1958, Section 36. Disclosure in public or national interest. The banker may require making disclosure in the interest of nation and public at large where it is suspected that the earnings and transactions by the customer are illegal. Precautions to be taken while disclosing customer account information. Banker should exercise due caution while disclosing the financial status or any other information about his or her customers. Undue or irrelevant information may make bank liable for compensation. It is also possible that bank may incur losses if third party misuses the information. The necessary steps that the bank should take before disclosing the customer account information are: only facts should be revealed. Disclosure should be a statement in general. Secrecy should also be maintained by the recipients. Disclosure of secrecy and information should not be given to persons out of context and without proper justification. Only facts should be revealed. Facts seen in customer's account to be revealed. In other words, the disclosure should not be based on hearsay or rumors. Disclosure should be a statement in general. The information about customers' financial position should be given in a general form and in terms commonly used and understood in the banking industry like ordinary, good, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, etc. Secrecy should also be maintained by the recipients. While giving the information, banker must clearly state that the recipients should maintain absolute secrecy of the information furnished. Disclosure of secrecy. While sharing information with other banks, the bankers should clearly state that information being furnished is strictly confidential and is not responsible and liable for the information. They should also make it clear that recipients should also treat it as confidential. Information should not be given to persons out of context and without proper justification. The bank should not entertain any request for information about a customer's account by any person who is not directly concerned with bank's customer. Furnishing of opinion. Important aspects. One of the important duties of a bank is to submit an opinion report on its customer if asked by another bank. A banker is required to obtain such reports from other bankers before processing application for credit facilities or while sanctioning bills purchase, discount, or book debts facility or credit facilities, etc. While calling for the opinion reports, the bank should consider the following aspects. An implied authority of customer is available to the bank to disclose information to the other bank. The banker should make the report on the basis of available information. The bank official should not give any personal opinion and should not volunteer information which is not asked for. The opinion should be in general terms only. While indicating the net worth of the customer, it is customary not to give it in figures, but to provide it in certain conventional terms. While providing opinion reports, the bank should specify that the report is submitted without any risk or responsibility on the part of the bank and its officers, and should also indicate that all information furnished should be treated as confidential. If the bank had any bad experience about the customer in the past, the report should convey it to the fellow banker. Summary. Relationship between bank and customer. Deposit account, debtor, creditor. Loans and advances, creditor, debtor. Safe custody of valuables, bailee, bailer. Remittance and bill payments, agent, principal. Safe deposit lockers, lessor, lessee. Trust account, trustee beneficiary. The bank obliges its customers by maintaining secrecy of their account information. The banks should submit an opinion report on its customer if asked by a fellow banker, and the banker should exercise certain precautions while disclosing the customer information.